Hi friends, I have an Octane guide for you today on how to use Octane in Apex Legends Season 8 and beyond. I've actually been using Octane in Ranked since the Season 8 Ranked split, and I've learnt a lot about how to use Octane effectively, not just in pubs, but now also in Ranked. Octane's actually a really good fit for Olympus because it's a lot more open, so you can really use Octane's abilities to make use of that open space on Olympus. If you saw the ALGS Winter Playoffs, you'll see even the pros are starting to include Octanes in their teams. So I thought now's the perfect time to look at how to use Octane so you can get more wins in pubs and Ranked. But if you do have tips that you like to use, feel free to put them in the comments down below. So Octane's abilities are fairly simple, so I'll focus more on gameplay style and strategy when using these abilities in this video, and I'll try to give you some top tips on how to improve using Octane with each of his abilities. Let's start with Octane's passive. Octane's passive is called Swift Mend, and it allows you to auto-regenerate health when you're not taking damage. It regenerates at 1.5 HP per second. One thing I should say though is, while it will regenerate your health over time, it's not super fast, so don't expect to instantly have your health back, and seasoned Octane mains will be aware of this, but it is a useful passive that will slowly regenerate your health. By the way, if you didn't know, this passive does also work on your health while you are downed. It won't stop you timing out, but like I said, it will help with the health side of things. A useful tip to go with this passive is to prioritise restoring your shields over using syringes or medkits after a fight. The reason I say this is because you might as well focus on restoring your shields while your health auto-regenerates, and even though the health regenerates slowly, you're still better off prioritising your shields because then you're getting both benefits of your health slowly regenerating while you're healing your shields. And I do still see a lot of Octane mains popping a syringe or a medkit before going for shield cells or batteries, which doesn't really make much sense because your passive is auto-healing you while you're popping your shield cells or batteries. It's also good to think about your passive in team play. For example, if you communicate with your team and they're low on meds, let your teammates have the priority because every other legend apart from Octane won't auto-regenerate health, and even though it's slow on Octane, it's still better than not regenerating at all. So let your teammates prioritise the health if they don't have any meds, but I would still recommend carrying a few syringes as Octane. You never know when you'll get caught in the storm and have to run in, so just a little something to keep in mind when using Octane's passive. Let's move on to Octane's tactical now. Octane's tactical is the STIM. It's really easy to use tactical, and put simply, it increases your walk speed by 30% and your sprint speed by 40%, all for 6 seconds. And the good thing about this tactical is that it only has a 2-second cooldown time, so you can keep popping it multiple times without having to wait too long in between. Again, for those of you familiar with the game, you'll know that this comes at a cost of 12 health each time you pop your STIM, so it's something to be wary of. Don't worry, your STIM won't kill you. It will take you down to 1 HP, and then you can keep popping it and it will just stay at 1 HP. It's something you need to be careful of though, because if you're running into fights with 1 HP, even if you've got full shields, you'll probably die quite quickly, especially if you have a white body shield. Here are some top tips that you can use to get the best out of Octane's STIM ability. Now you can use your speed boost to your advantage on landing to pick up loot faster than anyone else. This can give you an advantage really early on and help you get some early kills, especially if you hot drop, because by the time people have run over to the loot, you can already be there, grabbing those weapons before they can, and getting some easy kills. Another really useful tip is to hit your STIM before you finish popping a medkit or a Phoenix kit. That 12 HP that it costs you to hit your tactical will auto be replenished when that medkit or Phoenix kit finishes popping. So it's actually quite a good way to get a free STIM. I mentioned strategy earlier in the video, and this is something you want to think about when using the STIM. Instead of running head on to an enemy, use the STIM to flank your enemies. See, your STIM allows you to get around wider and faster than most normal legends, and you can definitely take enemies by surprise when utilising the STIM. I would recommend coordinating this with your team though, because it does help if your team are distracting the opponent, perhaps shooting from a different angle. It gives you time to pop your STIM and flank around the side to get some easy kills where the enemy isn't expecting it. You can also use your STIM to chase down enemies, which of course all Octane mains will be aware of. It's kind of like Bloodhound when they're in beast mode. With Octane you can easily chase down enemies, so if you think you've done good damage to an enemy, Octane is your best legend to try and chase down that solo and finish them off for those final kill points. But I would just say on this one, try not to get too far from your team. It can be quite easy as Octane to get separated from your team, so do try and be aware of where your team's positioning is. Of course, when we think about the stim, we kind of think about offensive plays, but you can use the stim defensively. It allows you to get away really quickly. And I say this a lot, but don't be afraid to leave fights. If you're not in the right position to take on an enemy team, if you feel like your health isn't good enough, or you've got a team of 3 pushing you all at once, you can use your stim as a great tool to get away from those enemies a lot faster. And to be honest, when a team sees an Octane running away, quite a lot of the time they don't bother chasing because they know they can't keep up. So it's a good thing to use in tricky situations where you need to get out of trouble. Next, let's look at Octane's ultimate ability, the jump pad. Again, this is a really simple and easy to use ability. It will launch you into the air when you hit the jump pad. The cool thing about the buff in Season 8 for the jump pad is that it makes it so much more effective. If you hit the jump pad while standing, you have a high arc compared to when you hit it crouching or sliding, which gives you a lower arc. This basically gives you the option to go either higher or further with a lower arc or a higher arc. And this is one of the key reasons why Octane is so effective this season. Especially when you combine an Octane with a Revenant, where you can literally take the totem and effectively push a team from really far away, much further than with any other legend. And the best thing about it is that there's no delay. When you get reset back to the totem, you can go back on the jump pad and push that enemy team to make sure you're finishing them off with the damage you've done from the totem push. Also, don't forget you can double jump while you're in the air, but you can't double jump when you're down or healing. Oh yeah, and if you just want to bounce straight up in the air constantly, if you melee the jump pad, it will actually just bounce you up and down in the air. It's actually quite a useful tool to get a view of the battlefield and see how many enemies are around you from a height. But do be careful, it makes quite a lot of noise, so you might attract attention if there are enemies nearby. Let me cover a few top tips around the jump pad. My first top tip is specifically for Olympus. If you combine a Trident with the jump pad, you can get launched into the air and then press your boost button to essentially turn the Trident into a mini spaceship that sends you flying across the air. It's a really great way to cover ground very quickly and get over obstacles and walls that might be blocking your path. It's also a lot harder for enemy teams to shoot you while you're flying across the air, so go give it a try. It's a useful tool for Olympus, especially as Olympus is our map for this ranked split. A few other offensive points about the jump pad: it's a great way to flank enemies. You can use it to get behind enemy teams or rotate around the side of them to get better angles. And with the new arc patterns, you're so much harder to hit. You can also improve your accuracy on the jump pad by crouching as you hit it. You see, you have better accuracy when you're crouching, so when you hit the jump pad while you're crouching, it just assumes that you're still crouching and gives you full weapon accuracy compared to the extra spread you get normally when you hit the jump pad standing up. So it's a useful tip to help you hit more shots when you're on the jump pad. Now, the jump pad isn't just great offensively, there are some defensive tips I can give you as well. The first top tip for using the jump pad defensively is to use it as a way to transport downed players to safety so you can revive them further away from the fight. A second top tip is that you can actually use it to block doorways. Everyone's familiar with caustics and Watsons blocking doors, but actually with the jump pad, if you place it just in front of the door, it makes it so much harder for the enemy team to push through a door. Obviously, this mainly works in single doorways, and it is possible for the enemy team to jump over it, but it takes a lot of coordination, and often it's a great way to distract enemies while they're considering how to get past the jump pad. It gives you time to either get away or do some damage to them. So keep this in mind, there are a few defensive uses for the jump pad. One final thing I would say is that you can also use the jump pad to get to hard to reach locations. A lot of people use Horizon to get up to these hard to reach locations, but with the double jump and the new arc patterns, you can now use Octane's jump pad to get to some high and hard to reach locations, giving you a good height advantage to take out enemy teams. So these are just some of my tips based on Octane's abilities to hopefully help you understand how you can use Octane more effectively in Apex Legends. And overall, I would say the main type of gameplay you want to focus on as Octane is to try and flank, rotate, and keep moving. You don't have to be overly aggressive, but do try and make good use of his movement abilities. I hope you found this guide useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.